Repetition is a great way to unify everything in your home. And in this video, I'm going to give you a way to use repetition so that you can create a cohesive look. So let's get started. So first thing, what is repetition? So repetition is one of the interior design principles. And I always think of the interior design principles as a guide to make sure that we use all of these principles to create a successful design. And repetition is an important principle when we do want to create a cohesive look, because just by repeating an element such as color or style or a material, that's a way of connecting everything, to tie everything in together to create a unified look. So in a room, for instance, we can repeat a color throughout that room, and our eye will notice that. Our eye will notice that a color is in different places in a room, and it'll like that connection because those elements are related. And it creates a sense of calmness in us when we see related things in a room or in a home, because it just helps to tie everything together and to help create a cohesive look. And we can use repetition to not only tie things together in a room, but to also bring everything together to create a cohesive look to our entire home. One way you can use repetition to create a cohesive look to your entire home is just by repeating the same paint color or stain color on all of your doors and all of your trim. And just by doing that, it creates a framework for your entire home and just kind of ties everything together. And in a natural way, using repetition and just repeating one color on all of your doors and all of your trim, it naturally makes sense because our trim and our doors are already going to be repeated in all of our rooms. And so it makes sense to kind of play up on that. So when we are standing in one room and we're looking out into another room and we see the trim and we see the doors in other areas of our home, and when they are painted or stained in the same color, that creates a sense of calmness. It's the same thing when we're in a room seeing a color repeated in the room, because then our eyes are connecting all of those different elements together. And it helps to just bring everything together when that is consistent and kind of unified throughout our home. And then there's some neat things to kind of notice about trim and doors in our home, kind of from a design perspective. And one thing is that trim can be thought of just as lines. And if you think about it, you can look at your trim, your baseboards, and those are horizontal lines. Or, you could have casings around your windows and your doors that could be considered vertical lines and also horizontal lines. And, line is one way that our eye kind of moves around a room because we kind of follow the direction of those lines. And then think of how all those lines, all of those trim lines in our home are continuous throughout our home. And, they go from one room to another, and there's always this connection. And what better way to create a smooth transition and a smooth connection and a unified connection than to paint them all or stain them all in the same color. And we can think of our doors just as shapes. Most likely we have rectangular shaped doors. And so how those are repeated, that shape is repeated in each room. And same thing, when all of the doors are unified just by color, it just helps create a cohesive look. And then are there exceptions to this where you wouldn't want to paint all the doors in the same color and all the trim in the same color? Well, for sure there are. And what I would think of is there would be a reason to do that because, in design, there's all these directions to go. But there are reasons behind those to make sure that the design is still cohesive. Maybe it's your front door where it's stained instead of painted just because it's a larger door and it's more decorative and it takes up more visual weight. It's a focal area of your entryway. And so that's a really good example of where maybe you wouldn't paint it the same color. So when you do want to change things up, just think about the reason why and how you're going to still create a cohesive look. So with your front door, it would still maybe be in the similar style to all of your interior doors. And it would probably still use the same metal and finish on the door hardware. So that would still unify and connect all of the doors together, but it would still let that front door kind of stand out and be its own thing. So painting all your doors and trim in the same paint color or stain color is just one way to create a cohesive look to your home. I'd love to find out from you if you have other ideas. So please share your design ideas and suggestions in the comments. Thanks so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Take care.